Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be talking all about underdressing.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be really fascinating. We're going to be looking at what it is and, why people might choose this form of expression and uh, whether it really truly fulfills them.
Right, yeah.
Our guide for this whole journey is going to be Gender Benson's article, Why Underdressing May Be Underfulfilling for a Crossdresser.
Okay, cool.
I was actually really surprised by some of the stuff in there,
Oh, yeah.
like how much clothing can really impact a crossdresser's sense of self. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
So let's just start with the basics. What does underdressing even mean when we're talking about crossdressing?
Yeah, so basically underdressing is like when you wear garments that are typically associated with a gender that's different from the one you present outwardly.
So what does that look like?
So picture this. You have a man in a business suit, right? Looking all sharp.
Okay.
But underneath, he's wearing silky lingerie.
Oh, yeah.
Or you have a woman, she's rocking a really stylish skirt,
Uh-huh.
but underneath, she's wearing a pair of men's boxers.
Interesting.
It's all about that hidden layer, you know? Like a secret expression close to the skin.
Yeah, I can definitely see the appeal of that. Like having this hidden part of yourself that you get to enjoy privately.
Right.
Almost like a little secret that makes you feel good.
Exactly.
But the article that we're going to be talking about today, it suggests that it might not be as fulfilling as you'd think.
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, because I would imagine the discreet nature of it,
Yeah.
it would be fulfilling in itself. So what am I missing?
Well, underdressing can be a starting point, you know? But the article, it kind of argues that it leaves people wanting more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like you're seeing this breathtaking landscape, but only through a tiny window.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You just want to see the whole thing.
Yeah, you want the full panorama.
Exactly. For example, imagine you want to experience what it feels like to have a skirt swirling around your legs.
Uh-huh.
Or the way a bodice cinches your waist.
Okay.
With underdressing, you only get a tiny little bit of that sensation.
So you're saying it's you get to taste the appetizer, but you never get to enjoy the main course.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And then there's another layer to this, too.
So what's that?
The lack of visual affirmation.
Oh, interesting.
Clothing plays a huge role in how we see ourselves, you know?
Right.
So if you can't see yourself fully embodying the gender that you feel aligned with, it can create this sense of incompleteness.
So it's not even just about the physical feeling of the clothing.
Right.
It's about how you see yourself when you look in the mirror.
Exactly. Say you're wearing breast forms under your everyday clothes. You can feel them there, but you can't really see how they change your silhouette or how they affect the way your clothes drape on your body.
I see.
And that lack of visual feedback can lead to this feeling of disconnect.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I could see how that would be frustrating.
Yeah, the article actually calls it cognitive dissonance. It's this disconnect between your internal feelings and how you appear on the outside.
Interesting.
And for some people, that internal conflict can be really unsettling, you know?
Yeah.
Imagine feeling really confident and feminine while you're wearing a beautiful bra and panties under your work clothes.
Right.
But then at the same time, you're feeling like that part of you is hidden, you know? Almost like it's not real.
Sounds like there's this constant push and pull happening.
Right.
Having this secret identity.
Right. It can be tough. And it makes you wonder about all the secrecy involved with underdressing.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Isn't there a downside to keeping that part of yourself hidden?
Mm-hmm.
Especially because we're all such social creatures.
Exactly. You've hit on a crucial point there. The article talks about how, for some people, underdressing is a way to manage societal expectations.
Right.
But at the same time, maybe they're suppressing this deeper desire to, express themselves more openly.
Yeah, because humans have this really fundamental need for connection and belonging.
Yes.
Right? If you have this passion for expressing yourself in a certain way, but you can only do it in secret. It must feel like you're living this double life.
Exactly. And without that, external acknowledgement from other people, it can be really hard to fully embrace and accept that part of yourself.
It makes me think about how much validation we get from others. Imagine if you had this incredible talent or passion.
Right.
But you never got to share it with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be as fulfilling, would it?
No, not at all.
It's like writing beautiful poetry and then keeping it locked away in a drawer so no one can ever read it.
That's a great way to put it. So while underdressing can be a form of self-expression for some people,
Yeah.
it might not always satisfy that deeper yearning for connection and validation.
So we've talked a lot about the downsides of underdressing. and like the limitations of it.
Right.
But what if someone listening to this wants more? You know? Like, what are some other paths they could explore?
Well, the article actually offers some really encouraging suggestions for moving beyond underdressing.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's hear it.
One of the first steps it suggests is dressing fully at home.
Okay, so like making it your own safe space.
Exactly. It's about creating a space where you can experiment and play with different looks and, experience the full transformation without being afraid of judgment.
Like having your own personal fashion show.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you a chance to get comfortable with expressing yourself fully before you take it out into the world.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about connecting with other people who are going through similar things? I feel like that sense of community would be so important.
You're absolutely right. Humans are social creatures, and finding other people who understand your journey is incredibly validating. The article mentions online forums and support groups as really great resources.
Yeah, I've heard about those forums, but I always imagined them to be a bit niche.
Hmm.
Like, is the online cross-dressing community really that big?
It's bigger than you might think. There are tons of forums and websites and even social media groups that are specifically dedicated to cross-dressing.
Wow.
It's a space where people can share their experiences and ask for advice and even build genuine friendships.
So it's not just about finding information.
Right.
It's about finding your people.
Exactly. Having those connections can make a huge difference in someone's life.
For sure. Okay, so we've talked about private expression and finding community.
Right.
But I'm curious about how to transition to expressing yourself publicly, because that can be a pretty daunting thought, Like, how do you start going out dressed in a way that feels authentic to you?
Well, the article suggests a few ways to sort of ease into it. One idea is to try wearing clothes that are more androgynous or gender fluid.
So finding that middle ground, blurring the lines a bit.
Exactly. It's about incorporating small elements that lean towards the gender expression you're looking for. So maybe you start wearing a more flowing top, or you accessorize with a more feminine touch, or maybe you change up your hairstyle a bit.
So it's like dipping your toes in the water before you jump all the way in.
Exactly. You get to see how it feels and what you're comfortable with.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What about for the people who are ready to jump all the way in? Like the ones who are ready to fully embrace their expression, but they might need a little bit of help.
Well, for those people, the article suggests professional transformation services.
Like what kind of services?
Things like working with makeup artists or stylists or even photographers who specialize in gender transformation.
Oh, wow.
They can help you explore different looks and styles in a supportive and judgment-free environment.
So it's like having your own personal glam squad to help you bring your vision to life. But I imagine that could get expensive.
It can be an investment for sure, but there are options for all kinds of budgets. Some professionals offer sliding scale fees, or you can get package deals. And there are also lots of online resources and tutorials that can be really helpful too.
Okay, that's great to know. So say someone has gone through that whole transformation and they feel really confident and amazing. But the idea of actually going out in public is still a bit scary. What would be a good first step for them?
The article suggests starting small. Maybe you start by just driving around town while you're dressed up, or you could visit an LGBTQ plus friendly space. Or maybe you attend a cross-dressing event or meetup where you'll be accepted and celebrated.
So it's about taking those baby steps and gradually building up your comfort level in public.
Exactly. It's all about creating a journey that feels right for you and not feeling pressured to do anything you're not ready for.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about respecting your own pace and your own comfort level.
Exactly. It's about honoring your own journey and not comparing it to anyone else's.
You know what? This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I'm realizing that underdressing is so much more complex than I thought it was.
It really is.
It's not just about the clothes. It's about self-discovery and navigating all these societal norms and finding ways to express yourself in a way that feels authentic.
Yeah, definitely.
It's about celebrating who you are on the inside.
Right.
And figuring out how to show that to the world in a way that feels good and empowering.
Absolutely.
It really is fascinating.
It is. Yeah, it really is a fascinating journey. And for anyone listening who might be thinking about these things, what would you say are the biggest takeaways from all this?
I think the biggest one is that underdressing, it can be different things for different people.
Right.
Like it could be a starting point for figuring out your gender identity, or it could be like a private thing that brings you comfort and joy, or it could even be a way to express yourself within certain boundaries.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's really important to be aware of the challenges too.
Like what kind of challenges?
Well, like we talked about, those feelings of incompleteness.
Right.
And that disconnect you can feel between how you feel on the inside and how you look on the outside.
Uh-huh.
And maybe even like a desire to express yourself more fully, you know?
So basically, it's all about being honest with yourself and figuring out if underdressing is actually working for you,
Yeah,
or if it's leaving you feeling kind of empty.
exactly. And it's not about judging anyone else's choices or anything. It's about each person finding what feels right for them and what makes them feel good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So for anyone listening who's maybe trying to navigate all this, all the stuff about gender identity and self-expression,
Yeah.
what would you say is the most important thing to remember?
I would say be kind to yourself first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Honor your own journey.
Yeah,
And don't be afraid to try new things and explore different ways of expressing yourself.
I love that. Whether it's underdressing or full expression or something in between,
Yeah.
what matters is that you find what feels authentic to you and what makes you feel strong and confident.
That's beautifully said.
Mm-hmm.
It's about embracing who you are and not letting anyone tell you what you should or shouldn't do.
So if clothing is a way of communicating with the world,
Uh-huh.
what are we really saying when we choose to underdress?
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful question. It makes you think about the message we're sending, not just to others,
Right.
but to ourselves too.
Exactly. It's like an invitation to really look at yourself and see if there's any disconnect between how you feel on the inside and what you're showing on the outside.
So it's about asking ourselves if we're truly expressing who we are.
Yeah, or if we're holding back for some reason.
And if we are holding back, is that because we want to, or is it because we feel like we have to?